G'day everyone, welcome to what is hopefully the first video on the new channel. If you're new here, which I'm going to assume some people are, but most of you hopefully have come across from the Harper Shed channel. My name's Tim. We're in my shed at the moment, but typically these videos will be on the boat. Now, the boat in question is my 34-foot timber Hartley cruiser. If you want to have a bit of a look at what's going on with that, where we've come from and where we are now, I'll leave a little note, or it'll be in the description. There's a video that is basically a welcome video to the channel, and it goes through some short clips of when I got her, what she was like, running up the coast, some general sort of cruising around, some of the bigger projects, getting it out of the water for the first time, that sort of stuff. That's all on that video. Certainly worth a watch. It'll give you a good catch up to where you are now, or where we are now, sorry. And also, if you do want to catch up on any of the previous videos, I haven't found a way yet that I can bring them across from the other channel. So I will also leave a link to the Harper Shed channel, and in that is the original playlist for Kiarra. I can't move them across, and I can't really re-upload every single video either. So anyway, yeah. Thank you and welcome. It's enough of that. Right, so today we've got some timber, and what we're going to be doing is making a new duck board for the boat. Duck board, swim platform, whatever you sort of want to call it. It's busted on the boat. Last couple of times we've been out to it, it's sort of been getting pretty creaky, and one of the boards has gotten loose, and now it's to the point where there's one side that's just broken. So it's unsafe. And the layout of the boat is such that it's a little bit of a tricky boat to get on and off anyway, just by the nature of the transom height, and there's no like through door on the transom, so anyway, it needs a duck board, and the one that's busted. So I've got some Merbau here. Now this is what I've been doing most of my timber work repairs in. It's just decking, but it's readily available, it's fairly cheap, and it's good wood it's a good timber for marine applications. So yeah, this is what we're going to use. I'll get my bit of cardboard that I've done my sketch on with my dimensions of what we're going to do, and we're going to get to cutting. I do want to try and test my own skills here, so I'm not typically a very good woodworker, but I want to try and test myself. So this duck board is going to be completely timber. I originally thought about making like a stainless steel surround and then putting some timber in it, but I thought, no, let's try and push ourselves a bit. So it's going to be completely timber, but also I want to do it without using fasteners, so no screws, so just good joinery and glue. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know how well it'll work. Worst case, I always build a frame and put it around it. So anyway, like I said, I'll get my drawings, and you can see roughly what we're going to do, the design I'm going with, and we'll get to cutting and gluing. So this is my engineered drawings. Essentially, it'll be, so these are millimeters. I work in metric here, so 2600 by 800. The width of the transom at the height of the duck board is about 2700, so it'll be in a little bit, but the current duck board is, I think it's about 1800. It's quite short, and I want a full width duck board. I don't know why they don't make them full width, but anyway. So where it mounts to the back of the boat will just be square edges on the duck board up against the back of the boat, but I want the aft corners to be rounded, mitered, and they'll be mitered, but the way I'm going to do it is to allow for, I'll see if I can draw this on the spot. Where are we? That way. So there will be a miter, but it'll also be a mortise and tenon. So I will router a rebate internally in this section, and then because I'm going to make, this is going to end up a bit messy, but effectively this bit would have been long, and I will router it as such that it's got a thingy that goes in the hole. There's a joke there, but just glance over it. So that'll make the corners nice and strong. Now the perimeter is going to be double thickness, and that will give me the meat to be able to make a nice sturdy mortise and tenon joint there. And then this center bar here will also be a double thickness bar, and it'll again have the same join in either end, just like that. These side ones, they won't be double thickness, and they're going to be half width. So this is 90, so they'll be 45 wide. But I'm also going to make them, I'm not sure if I'm going to make them lay over the top or whether I'm going to make them actually come in. I haven't quite figured that out yet. I also haven't figured out my spacing. So I'm going to make the perimeter first, make it so that it's all knocked together, and then I'll see what I like for a spacing, and we'll work from there. But the first step's going to be getting, what are we going to do? Getting all the doubled up sections cut and laminated, because the glue takes time to dry. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, so all sanded, cut, and I had to make them a little bit smaller. They'll end up, the deck will end up about 2500, just because they weren't long enough, and so I would have had to have only used one length to get a section out of it. So anyway, they're locked in half, we're ready to go. This will be the glue that I'm using, just a polyurethane. It's like a foaming glue. That's what I used for everything else. When the boat was up on the hard stand and I had to laminate pieces, that's what I used. It seems to be holding up good. I know it's a good strong glue, so yeah. Wipe it all down with some white spirits, and then try and gather every clamp I own and get it glued up. Alright, it's been a few days. If it's glue hasn't dried by now, it's not going to. Strip it all down, split it apart, and then we're going to come through and dress them all. And my next door neighbour was very kind in lending me his table saw, so should make it a lot easier to come through and dress the edges, because they didn't glue perfectly square, so we're going to have to knock some off the thickness, but it won't be enough to hurt anything, but it should get the edges nice and square and make for a better finish in the end. Well, this might become, actually we might set the depth first. It'll adjust the depth, what goes up and down. I don't know how to adjust the depth of cut. Doesn't seem to do anything. Stand by. I gotta figure it out. Right. So I drop the depth of cut so it's only just higher than what I'm working with. See how we go. I put the clean edge up against the fence and I've set it to cut a 2mm slice, so we'll see if it cleans it all up or not. I'm gonna need a mask for that. Wowzers. Alright, so I don't actually have a mask, not ideal, but what I did is I actually plumbed my vacuum in, so it should help pull all the dust out. I think I might maybe put you on time lapse, because it's going to be very noisy and very, you know, I don't know, uneducated. There's probably a word for it. Alright, well, I know I said I wasn't a woodworker, and I'm not, but even for me this just doesn't seem right. Pretty much no matter what I do, I can't get it to cut straight. So, got all one side done on them, and it come up alright, no issues. But as soon as I go and try and run through and trim the other side, it just starts cutting off. I measured the fence to the blade, it's square. The blade is square in the deck. But it just won't cut straight. I tried moving the fence from one side of the blade to the other, not that that should make any difference, still cutting the same way obviously. I don't know. I tried to take just a light skim off this, just like 1/2 mil off the side. It just didn't want to cut it. All it sort of seemed to want to do was just burn it and push it. I don't know. The only thing I've got left is that maybe the blades just had it. I mean, Neighbour said it really hasn't done much work, but and it doesn't. I mean, it's not missing any teeth or anything like that. It really doesn't look that bad. I don't know. I tried different depths of cut. I tried having it just high enough so that it cut it, and then I tried having it up full height, which is where it is now. Didn't make any difference. So, I don't know. I think I'm just going to take the blade out, go and buy a new blade and try it again. And I suppose the other option is maybe this wood is, I mean, I know Merbau is bloody hard wood, so it could be that it's just struggling with the, you know, trying to chomp through 40mm thick piece of hardwood, but I would have thought it'd do it. Anyway, I think that's what I'll do. Pull the blade off and I'll go and shad a new blade, see if it gets the rest done. As it is, I think I may have wasted, well, not wasted, I can always make it thinner. I wanted to keep them as wide as possible, but even that's, you know, that's down to about 80mm, which is still fine. It's not going to break. So, alright, pull the blade off, see if I can find one, or go and buy one. That off. It's unlocked. New blade. So, not cheap, but it's a little bit thinner, and it's got more teeth, and it's new. I don't know, will it help? No idea. Hopefully it does. But I did go through and just double check the alignment and everything, and it all seems square and true. So I mean, it's either me, which is highly possible, so, or there's something sort of something that I'm not paying attention to that I should be. So anyway, I'm gonna get this new blade fitted up, and then we'll do another cut and hopefully it's good. Also thought I might make an attempt at saving my lungs properly, and I've got all the extraction stuff set up, so let's see. Well, that seems a hell of a lot better. It's getting jammed up on this little lock back here for the whatever that is. So I think I might just ever so slightly finesse it that way, and then I reckon we're good. I did make myself a pusher stick too, but I forgot to use it, so we're going to use it next time. Alright, I'll put you on time lapse and you can watch me struggle through this, but I think we should have it now. Well, that new blade definitely did the trick. That went so much better. Really nice edges. They're square and they're all within, I think they're within about 0.2. Yeah, 0.3 of one another. So I can't argue with that. Now I'm going to have to sit down and try and figure out what I want to do for these corners. So that might take me a minute. So I'm thinking, I mean, these are the end pieces, so you know, I don't know if I should just not try and be too fancy and just come in and make a mortise and tenon, so maybe machine this section out and turn it into a tongue and put it in, or I could biscuit it. I could make some biscuits, and I do have a biscuit joiner. So I could do that. That'd make it, you know, pretty simple. I can come along and router the edges. What I wanted to do was miter it. So make a 45 and miter it. And then on this side, so miter one side and come in and plunge and make a rebate in there, or a, you know, a hole for this side, and then this side, when I miter it with a router in such a way that leaves a protrusion to go into it, so when they come in they'll come together, but I really don't know if that's going to work. Alright, I might find some scrap bits of wood and have a bit of a muck around and see how we go. I may end up just biscuit joining the sides like that, just straight. Or I could do a dovetail there. Pardon me. Actually do a dovetail in there, and then a mating dovetail in there. That extracting system worked much better, by the way, but I still should be putting a mask on. Maybe a dovetail. Never done one before. We'll see. Well, it's not very exciting what I've come up with. I thought about doing dovetails and finger joints and all that. I'm not gonna. I'm not good enough. It comes down to, you know, I'm just not good enough. This timber's pretty expensive. Well, comparatively, that's a poor excuse. I think really all I'm going to do is just a lap joint. So I will cut this section off the top, and then corresponding section off the bottom, and they'll come together and they'll just sit together like that. I mean, I am going to router the edges and make it look pretty anyway. A little bit disappointed in myself for not being able to do something nicer, but I just don't know how. It's a crappy excuse, but I mean, you know, I know my limitations, and I think this is going to be nice and strong as well. So I'm still not going to use screws. They'll just go together, and they'll be plenty strong enough. I mean, this glue is really good, so it'll all get put together and clamped. The cross planks, I think what I might do is a similar sort of setup. I might come in and maybe do a half lap, so they'll sit on there. Don't really know how to get that nice and square. Or maybe I will just do a full cutout and they can sit all the way across. That'll make for a pretty look on the end when I come to do the router, but it will expose end grain. And I know that's not very good. So, yeah. Alright. not too worried about that bit for the moment. I'm going to get these trimmed and squared so that everything is the right length, and then we can mark out and just cut these sections off, and I'll do my best to split the timber. It should be all right, but it just takes a bit of cutting to the right depth. So that's where we're at. So, as you probably saw on the time lapse, we got a bit more done. This is where we currently stand. I decided to change up the corners, so I didn't just do just a straight lap. I thought what I'd do is be a little bit tricky and do like a mitered lap joint, if that makes sense. So the top is mitered, and that's our leftover, and then the underside I cut back and then allowed to come together, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it looks really good, and best part is they are more or less perfect, all four of them. I don't know how I jagged it, but I did. So that's what we're going to go with. I still think it's going to be more than strong enough. It's probably not as strong as a full, or it's definitely not as strong as the full lap joint, because you've only got half of it on an angle. So, but I think what I could do, would that work? Could I dowel it? Not really. I was just thinking I could possibly dowel into it, but I don't think it needs it. The other thing I could probably do is actually make some hardwood dowels and go and drill and put 2 dowels in it just to stop it, but I don't know, we'll see. What I decided to do for the middle is make my life a bit harder, and I thought I'd continue with the angled theme, and I decided to do a triangle notch. Now this side actually come up pretty good, so I clamped some timber at the right angle and went in there with the router, and it's pretty good. I squared the front edge up. I'm really happy with that one. What I'm not so happy with is this one. So, if you can see from my lines, it ended up too wide. That is the width of the plank that goes up the center, and unfortunately I'm going to be left with these gaps on the side because I made the cut too wide, and I don't think there's anything I can do about that. I'm a bit disappointed because everything was going really good, and I just didn't sort of notice when I did a plunge with the router that it was too far across on my line. I should have noticed that it was cutting, too far that side. There's nothing I can do about it. I don't have any more material to remake it, and I'm not really going to remake this center section just because it's going to have a little bit of a cutout. I think what we can do is probably collect some sawdust. I've seen people collect the sawdust off it and mix it up with like some araldite, like some 2-part epoxy araldite, and use that to fill in the corners. So I think that's probably what we'll do. It's nothing to do with structural. It's just oh, pardon me. It's just going to look a bit dicky if I don't do something. So that's where we are. I think I'm going. Not I think. I've been saying that a lot lately. What I'm going to do next, that bit there is the center beam, and I'm going to cut that, and I'm going to try and do it with hand tools because I feel like using the circular saw, I'm getting a little bit wobbly. So I'm going to try and mark it out nicely, clamp it, and actually use the saw, just a hand saw, to try and get my angles better, because they're not standard angles. They're 60 something, what were they, 54 degrees, just because. So I can mark it out. I'm going to use a bit of paper to make a template so that they try and fit in there nice. And then I need to figure out, I'm going to need to go and buy some more wood, but I'm going to try and figure out my ones that go the other way. So anyway, that one first. I want that one fitting really nice, and then we can move on to our slats that go along. Alright, well, it has taken some back and forth, and some back and forth, and some back and forth, but I think I'm actually ready for glue. So these joints are, I mean, I'm happy with them. I think they're about as good as my skill level, pardon me, my skill level is going to get me at the moment. Yeah, it's about it. I mean, they'll come together good. I'm like I said, I'm pretty happy. So, because of the way that I'm going to put the rest of the planks on, that one was a bit ordinary, but it's not too bad. I'm happy with it, like I said. Because of the way I'm going to put the planks on, which you will see later, I'm actually going to glue this up completely. So yeah, all the sides, and then this center bar is going to get glued up now. Because I've sort of set myself a pretty decent task. Because I've started doing all the angles and things to notch the beams in, it's getting big. I don't think I can just butt join anything onto it anymore. So for these top planks that are going to run across, I was just going to run them. This will get notched, and then they'll sit flat on there. So there'll be one continuous plank all the way across. And I was just going to butt join them there with some dowels. But I think that would look rather silly, and it'd look like a bit of a half job. It'd look like I sort of gave up. So that's not what I'm going to do. You'll see what I'm going to do, and it's going to take me a long time. And I think I'm probably going to make a jig for it. But right now, I'm going to pull these clamps off, get everything sanded and prepped and wiped down, and then we're going to glue it all. Alright, well there we have it, all glued up. I think I'm going to split this into 2 videos, so this will be part 1. This has taken a lot longer than I thought to make, and I think because I've started to make things difficult for myself, yeah, we're going to have to split this up into 2 videos. But yeah, there we go. I'm pretty happy with it, like I've said a lot. The joints are pretty good for me, and I think it's going to be more than strong enough. So especially once we start laying all our cross beams in, which is, I'm going to have to make a custom router jig to do that so that I can get it nice and accurate. We use a table saw for the short sections, but then for actually coming in and grooving these so that the planks fit into it nicely, yeah, custom jig. Don't know how I'm going to do that yet, but I will. Anyway, alright, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for watching. And I would really like to ask, if you haven't yet, please go down and hit the subscribe button. New channel, just trying to get it built up. So yeah, subscribe really helps. Yeah, notifications on. That's a big deal as well. And lots of likes. If you liked it anyway, don't click the button if you didn't like it. Just keep moving. So, well, I'm gonna go and buy me some more timber so we can finish this off. Yeah, stay safe. We'll catch you on the next one.